monthly rent. Hello! And that's how he came, but he was wealthy enough to be in the upper echelons of HiFi, right out of my league. Dennis,
yes,
not really.
355.
He wasn't a HiFi man, 355.
Yeah.
But he liked music and eventually got into it.
Mm.
But we're meeting up with Jackson. Then he says, in the shed, I've got the centre lathe.
Oh, really?
So Roy got onto it,
Yeah.
because the centre lathe was still fresh in memory from coming out of the army.
Yes, as an experienced turner.
As an experienced turner. And I renovated it
Oh, wow.
and got it going and that. And then he sold Ashburnham Grove and moved on to Kirk at Shipley in a big detached house.
Ah.
He took the ground floor and let the others above and around
Yeah.
off to tenants. Right. And on the ground floor, faced onto the back garden, he built 2 brick enclosures. I'm assuming they were brick and not stone.
Yeah. With roofs?
Eh?
With roofs on? Oh!
Enclosures.
Like enclosures to put.
But dual Tannoy dual contact speaker in each.
Wow.
Right.
This is in the room.
In the room.
Wow.
And then
Yes.
he faced these enclosures, because being brick or whatever, they were ugly.
Yes.
He covered with super anaglypta
All right.
to match the anaglypta of the room.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then in this flat he made a false ceiling of about that depth, because it had a high ceiling.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was a tenant in the room above.
Ah.
He built a false ceiling,
Yeah.
and the story is that he filled it with sand.
Sound.
Now, Alexander says sand would have been very heavy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said, aye, it would.
He didn't need to fill the whole 2 foot depth of sand. He could have had 2
well,
inches
they
of
put
sand.
Put a layer on.
2 inches of sand on top of the plasterboard, and that would damp out the vibrations, wouldn't it?
This was before, I suppose, polystyrene and that sort of stuff, which he could have used.
Yeah, I think sand is still better.
But because this tenant was right above,
Yeah.
and he liked playing his loud hi-fi,
Yeah.
he took this measure.
Yeah.
Now later I introduced him to another pal I'd met on the beat. Another copper says, oh, you want to go to 217 Upper Woodlands Road, there's a fella there with a right hi-fi system. So I made it into my way to go there,
Yeah.
and he had a pair of quad valve amplifier
Yeah.
into 2 Wharfdale SFB3s. Now they SF are sand-filled baffles,
Oh,
SFB3s.
Right. So they're a
And
bit
they were-
heavy.
They were about that width, stood about that high,
They were big.
and they were rather on the bright side. In other words, not a
Not
right
over
lot of
bassy.
bass on.
Ah.
And he had this Thorrens turntable with an SME arm
Yeah.
and a Decca cartridge.
Yeah.
And of course he had a collection of LPs, and they called him Alan Holiday.
Mm.
And after that he was known as Big Al.
Right. Yes.
Anyway, I introduced him to Jackson,
Right, yeah, yeah.
and an exchange then took place of Big Al and his wife going to Jackson's flat an evening for coffee, and Jackson, because he had no regular female, although there was a dark-haired bird in the wings, coming to Upper Woodlands Road for
Yeah.
an hour or two visit.
Yeah, yeah.
And Big Al's wife always laid on fish and chips from the fish shop just down the road.
Did you go?
Oh, aye.
Oh!
There were exchange visits then,
Yeah.
from our house to his, and him to our house.
Right.
Plus another fella who came on the scene, Charlie Black, Raymond Black.
So what sort of system did you have then? You hadn't got the Nakamatsu tape deck by then?
Oh no,
Set deck. That came
was
later.
way later.
But had you got
I'm
your
talking
Son Lin
about
deck?
the beginning.
Ah, right.
Early, well, it was 65 before I got I'd started buying HiFi News.
Yeah.
Oh, and while I was at English Electric, this guy on the test bed had built a super dyne amplifier from